Hey everyone, in today's video I'm going to talk you through some sales techniques that really helped me close a lot more deals. And I actually wish I'd have known some of these sales techniques earlier on, because I lost hundreds of deals because I didn't know these techniques. So hopefully today you don't have to make the same mistake I did, and you can learn this right now, implement it straight into your process. Make notes on this video. Honestly, it will help you as it helped me. So today we're going to talk about trial closes and why they're important. So a lot of my audience are interested in entrepreneurship. They're already in business. Maybe they're interested in starting a business. And a lot of them have problems with like sales if they are in business. They'll speak to a customer, a potential person who wants to buy like their service from them, and they just won't be able to close the deal. And usually it's because they end up trying to sell to a person who's just not ready to buy. So this can come in a whole different variety of forms. Sometimes people on the other end of the phone have no intention of buying from you, and nothing will ever change that. Sometimes they do have an intention of buying from you, and this is the tricky one. But the problem is, like, they haven't reached the right stage. You haven't found the correct information from them to actually get a sale from them. They aren't quite sold on the service because they're not hot enough. So how we get around that is we use things called trial closes. And trial closes are where you are having a conversation with someone who's potentially interested in your service. And you're potentially not quite sure how they're feeling about like what you two are talking about, like how they're feeling about your service, how they feel about like you as a person. So what we do is we ask them a trial close to see if they're anywhere near actually closing, so we can basically get a temperature check on them. Now there's a few reasons in terms of more detailed psychology why we do this, but let me give you an example of a whole bunch of different trial closes. So you're having a conversation with someone, you're not quite sure where they are, and you say to them, so what do you think about everything that I've talked to you about so far? What do you think about everything I've shown you so far? So is there anything that you would change in terms of what I've said so far to you? Or maybe if it's a more corporate client, what do you think about this solution I'm talking about with you? So with questions like this, you're either going to get a good response or a good response, but it's actually a bad response, like a good response that's just disguised as a good response. So when you ask these questions and you ask them, right, so what do you think about everything I've shown you so far? A person who's genuinely interested in your service, genuinely interested in your product, genuinely interested in you as well, they'll say something like, yeah, this is great. I mean, like, it seems like it's working great. And they'll come back at you like in quite an excited manner. You'll be able to almost tell that this person is actually quite excited about the solution. If a person isn't interested in the service, they'll either feign interest or they'll sound disinterested. Trust me, you'll be able to pick it up. So as an example, I'll say to somebody, so what do you think about everything I've just shown to you right now? And they'll be like, yeah, it's okay. Yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Feigning interest. Or they'll say something like, yeah, like, I guess it could work. And you'll be able to tell that they're not quite sold on the solution. And picture it like a thermometer. A trial close is basically a thermometer, and you can see if they're hot on the hot end of the scale, if they're on the blue end of the scale, the cold bit, because they're not interested at all. If they're on the hot end of the scale, now we need to be moving over to like the closing part of the call. So we do this by asking things like, where should we go from here? Should we get started right now? This is what the next steps are gonna look like. And you start closing because they're actually ready to buy. They're just waiting for you to kind of lead the sale. If they're on like a bit more lukewarm, this is where it gets a bit tricky, because now they might actually want to buy your product, or like be at least suitable to buy your product, but they might just not be there yet. So during the call so far, or even if you're face to face with the person, generally they've talked about like their pain points, what challenges they've had, what problems they've had, hence why the reason you're on the call trying to solve their problem. And now you need to basically start talking to them about their challenges again and say, well, I know you're facing challenge A here, and this part of the solution that I'm offering right here is exactly what deals with that right now. And I know you're facing challenge B right here, and that's exactly why I blah, blah, blah with my program here. And I know you're facing challenge C here, and so on and so forth. You need to be matching up like exactly what value you're going to be giving to the person in terms of like what challenges they're facing, just so it's completely relevant for them. Once you do this, you can even trial close again then to see if you've got them a bit further up the scale. So another reason why we do trial closes is if we move into the part of the sales call where we're trying to sell to the person, but they aren't actually ready to buy. What happens is we start talking about our product, we start talking about like our solution, and we start specifically telling them what's in it. And because they're not quite ready to buy, they get like kind of stuck in the weeds. And I'm sure some of you guys have experienced this. When a person is buying from you, they should purely be focused on their painful problem and that they're going to have a solution which is going to fix that painful problem. However, if you try and sell to them too early, what happens is they're like, so on module 1 of this course you're trying to sell to me, I get A, B, and C. And how does module 2 work? And what do I get for that? And how much does that part cost? And can we change the package around? And they get like stuck in the weeds. They forget about like the problem. So I actually had a lady come to me once, and she was really, really interested in actually buying from me and like actually like getting consulting services from me. And we spoke a bunch of times to each other. On one call, I was like, look, I've got this package here that, you know, would be perfectly suited for you, blah, 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 blah. Didn't trial close her. And it turns out she was not at the right buying temperature. A month later, I received like an email, which was basically like negotiating with like what parts were in it and like negotiating like how much I was charging. And when something happens like that, like the person has got lost in the weeds, they've forgot all about like the problem that they're actually facing. Instead, they're just trying to like manage the solution, which like the person's never ever gonna buy anyway. And right at that moment, as soon as I realized that, I was like, I made the mistake on the last call. So that's why we trial close. And this is why we always implement trial closes in. Hopefully this video was helpful for you in your sales. I recommend that you watch it again to actually get all the nuggets out of it and actually write down some bits and then put them in your scripts so you can start closing more customers. Let me know if it was helpful below. Have a great one, guys. Take care.